What's up out there, everybody? I'm your host, Alan. Appreciate you stopping by on the drive this morning. We've got an incredible show lined up for you as you head in to the office or wherever your workplace may be. Well, performance enhancing drugs. They've been around for a while. We're going to discuss who is or who do you think is cheating right now. Sit back, relax, hold on to the steering wheel. Let's head towards the job. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thanks for stopping by the show this morning. We've got a good one lined up for you. We want to talk about something that is a little bit off balance for a lot of people in the media to talk about, but here on this show, we keep it real on this show. Well, with everything that goes on, generation after generation, there's some type of a sports scandal. Oh, not a sex sports scandal. We know those happen all of the time, especially with what's going on right now. But we want to talk about performance enhancing drugs and how generation after generation that this continues to go on, and some of the greats, and I do mean some of the all-time greats, get caught cheating. Even when they say they haven't, in the end, they get caught cheating, and how it disrupts and disrupts their legacy as being one of the greats. Now, we know all about as far as I can remember when this first started, I remember Ben Johnson exploding out of the blocks in the Olympics to take out Carl Lewis and the rest of the guys, and it shook up the sports world. It shook up track and field, and Ben Johnson's never recovered from that. Now, he was able to go back and run after that, but he was never the same again. As we continue to move on, you have stories like in baseball. You remember Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and you remember all of the home runs that they were hitting, and it transformed baseball into the sport where the home run became king. Where it really became king. Now, we know Babe Ruth and all those guys hit home runs, but when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were hitting those home runs, man, it transforms baseball into something that it was must-watch TV. And, of course, we know about Barry Bonds, who's never legally been charged with being on steroids, but the indications are that Barry was on steroids. And other greats like Alex Rodriguez in the Senate and Congress stepped in and had investigation after investigation and found out that there were a lot of guys that were on steroids in baseball. Let's keep this thing rolling. Well, you remember the great, and I do mean the great, Marion Jones, the great sprinter, one of the greatest sprinters we'd ever seen, female sprinters, and she would win race after race after race. And then she lied. She lied to the feds, and the one thing you never want to do is lie to the feds. And Marion Jones was later convicted and spent time in jail behind being on steroids and lying to the public. She was stripped of her medals and everything else. Well, you remember Lance Armstrong, the great bicycle rider, who continued to lie and say that he wasn't on steroids. But he was on performance enhancing drugs. Some drugs, EPO, there are so many different forms of them that we could talk about, and these athletes are being convicted of being on steroids. And you remember the big Balco investigation with the late Victor Conte, who's passed away here, I guess late last year. He a couple of years, I think I don't want to say the wrong time, but he did pass away not too long ago. And he was over snaps, and you know, anytime you see snaps or anything like that, then you think, oh man, somebody on steroids. So those are just some of the things that the cases generation after generation has a story about somebody being on performance enhancing drugs. So as you sit up and you watch modern day sports, my question to you is, do you see anybody that plays football, baseball, golf, tennis, basketball that you may think, man, something's not right? Something's not right about the way this athlete or these athletes are performing. Have you just sit up and seen that? And that's what we want to talk about. Before we get into that, I'm going to need you to hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the like and subscribe button And appreciate all my subscribers out there. Appreciate you sticking with me. Appreciate you watching the drive. Appreciate you watching our sports show in the evening time. Hey, and these videos are brought to you by none other than me. This is Alan here at D9J Sports, where we train not only some of the top quarterbacks in the state of Texas, but some of them going to be rated as some of the top rated quarterbacks in all of America. Well, on that note of training and the training of athletes, and how does performance enhancing drugs help these athletes? Well, you can go and you can buy an over-the-counter drug like creatine, and a lot of doctors prescribe creatine to older individuals, 50 above, to help their strength, and it gives you bursts and everything else. I think that it's banned by a lot of the National Football League and a lot of leagues. But substances like this help you build strength, power, endurance, and have that explosion. So now when you sit up and watch sports, I'm here to tell you right now, if you're sitting up and you see something and you can't believe it's true, do not be fooled by your eye, because it probably isn't true. It probably isn't true. It probably isn't natural. It probably isn't natural. There are so many different supplements out there. So many different supplements. And you see, and the very first thing somebody like say in boxing they do, they get busted. They want to say, oh, they ate some wrong food or whatever. But I don't believe that. I believe that's a bunch of nonsense. I believe that high paid and high priced and high professional athletes know exactly what they're putting into their body. Or there are some cases where a person can defy the odds. No, ladies and gentlemen. No, there is not. Because no matter what it is, you cannot beat Father Time. I don't care who you are, you can't beat Father Time. I'm going to give you an example. You remember when you were in tip-top shape and you had to bench press 225 pounds. And back then, it seemed like it was nothing. You would get under and you pump it 15, 16, 17, sometimes 20 times, and you walk away like it was nothing. As you get older, 40, 45, 50 years old, you may be able to bench press 225, but it's going to take a hell of a lot out of you. And if you get on supplements, yeah, it's going to be easier for you to lift. But you know deep inside that when you were a youngster, you could pump it and it wasn't nothing to it. You remember how you used to go out and work out and it would be over as soon as you got finished. 5 minutes later, you would be in recovery and you could stay up all night long and get back up and do the same thing the next day. No, ladies and gentlemen, when you get older, it isn't. But those steroids, give those steroids and creatine and all those supplements give these athletes an opportunity to recover. And that's what it's about. It's about the recovery time. So once again, when you sit up and you see something that you cannot believe to be true, believe in yourself and believe in your eyes that I'm here to tell you that it is not true. It is not true. It isn't true. It doesn't matter whether you're an elite athlete, borderline athlete, or whatever. I'm going to give you an example. You remember when Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson? And Mike Tyson was extremely tired, being one of the greatest, and I do mean greatest boxers of all times. Even though he was 60 years old, he was tired. Yeah, man, you're gonna get tired, and Father Time cannot be defied. It cannot be defied. So performance enhancing drugs. What do you see? Who do you see that you think is on something right now? I want you to jump in the comments. We want to put it out there because, like I said, a lot of shows, they don't want to talk about it. Remember, did you see yesterday? Did you see yesterday where Cameron and Mace got into it? And Mace started getting upset when Cameron was talking about LeBron James, and he said that Mace, he seemed to say that Mace said that LeBron was on steroids. And Mace told him, no, he didn't say he was on steroids. He's just saying that, you can't move the goalpost for certain things. So you need to check that out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Those are just some of the examples, ladies and gentlemen, some of the examples of how people can use their own. You can move the goalpost, but you have to use your own eye and see for yourself. And I'm here to tell you, it is something that if you see it, then it's probably true, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you're asking yourself, why D9J Sports did we get into this? Do you want to talk about this morning? Because the reason why, because it presents a unfair surface for a lot of people. Now, you got to also understand there's a lot of money involved in sports now, a hell of a lot more than we were playing in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. There are a hell of a lot more money. And for college athletes who can get away with it, man, you're talking millions of dollars at an early age, because you don't want to get in a position like Diego Pavia and don't get drafted. But in college, you can make that money. So would you, I'm going to ask you right now, if you had an opportunity right now to get to compete in a sport, and if you competed natural, you would be average. But if you got on some substances, you know that you would make millions and be at the top of the line. Would you think about your health down the line, or would you just be wanting to get that bag? Would you want to get that bag? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you, I competed in sports. I never was on anything. Never was on anything. But when I got 57 years old, I competed in the Masters Boxing Championship, and I was tired as all outdoors in the last round, even though I had trained for 7 straight months. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you can't defy time. It's Allen, D9J Sports to Drive. You know we venture off to other things. Have a great day out there. And on the show today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on my way out. I'm going to continue to tell the ladies, don't pay her any attention when you get to work. She wish she had what you had. And guys, you know it won't be long now. It won't be long. Get your honeydew list together. D9J Sports. I'm definitely OUT.